Charlotte Select Board, March 8th, meeting called to order at 7:10. Are there any adjustments to the agenda for anybody? Any public comments? Select Board organization. So you have notes here on what we're supposed to do. So for the past several years, Select Board has elected a chair and a vice chair. Are there motions to do one at a time, the chair?
I'll make a motion to nominate Lane Morris.
Thank you. Any other motions? Any comments? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
I was going to say glutton for punishment.
Is there a motion for vice chair?
I'll make a motion to appoint Matt Krasnow as vice chair, or chairman in charge of vice. Second.
Is that seconded? Okay, any discussion? Other nominations? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Thank you. Adopt
Lifetime license only 6 times.
rules of procedure, Robert Rules of Order, small boards. So these are here. It's a tradition that we have consistently done it. Anybody have any issues with these abbreviated Robert's rules? Do we have to re-sign? We signed these in 2016. Is this a policy?
I could do a new version that you can sign for the next meeting.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the Robert's Rules of Order for small boards?
Sure, I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any comments? All in favor, say aye.
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 There's also the rules of procedure that they're based on Vermont League of Cities and Towns.
Put in here. Is there some in here?
Yeah, well, it's in your packet.
Okay.
It may include some of Robert's rules, but also specific to Charlotte in terms of setting the meetings and whatnot.
Okay.
It's the one that you just had in your hand, Lee.
Yeah.
But it's more specific to Charlotte. The one that you looked at that said we signed it in 2016.
Oh, right.
But if you note that 2016 is not the same board, so you really should want to sign it here.
Okay, so you'll just give us a revised one for...
Well, I will, but you should adopt that as well.
So make a motion to adopt the Charlotte Select Board Rules of Procedure
Okay. To be updated
to be updated to
today's date.
March 8, 2018.
Seconded?
Second?
Okay. Any discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay. Newspaper. So how have we done? Newspaper. So, Charlotte News for Warning Town meeting, regular select board meetings. The citizen and/or 7 days to meet deadlines. Somebody want to read that and make that a motion? It's in Dean's notes. There's no reason to change that, I wouldn't think.
Motion to select the Charlotte News for warning town meeting, regular select board meetings, and special meetings. And the citizen and/or 7 days as necessary to meet deadlines for other public notices, specific classifieds, and warning notices as required to meet deadlines.
Second.
Any discussion on that?
Always nice to use the local paper.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's good. Approved schedule of regular meetings. That's a handout. So it's the 2nd and 4th
Right.
Mondays?
Where is this in?
Yep.
Is there a motion to approve the,
Wrong packet, Matt.
This packet.
oh, you have next Monday's packet in with your other stuff too.
I only had one packet in my box.
Well, here's the schedule from the anyways.
there a motion for the schedule?
Yeah, I just
Chair,
wanted to check a couple
I'll make a
dates.
motion to approve the draft schedule for regular meeting in 2018.
Second.
So there are a couple of days that conflict, Memorial Day, potentially second day of Rosh Hashanah, Veterans Day, and Christmas Eve. You could potentially, reschedule those as we get closer.
Yeah, why don't we save it as a draft the way you have it
Okay.
for now? Because we're going to have special meetings and stuff.
I think just the Rosh Hashanah one would be a conflict for me on September 10th. My kids. Unless we did like a 8 o'clock one.
Can we wait then, or you want to
Yeah.
change it now?
No, happy to wait.
Okay, we had a motion, right? It was seconded?
Yeah.
Any further discussion on that? Leave it as is? All in favor, say aye.
Aye?
Aye. Assume you want to talk to us for a couple minutes, Dave?
Yeah.
Give us a second. Let us finish this one topic here. Signing of warrants. There's been some emails today.
No, they're different.
They are different.
Let's see what we did last year. So signing of warrants. You approved the select board chair to sign payroll warrants last year. And then warrants for other bills. We wanted to have them all signed by Wednesday, but not everybody's been good about that. So you want to take one thing at a time? You want to authorize the chair to sign warrants for payroll? I am in here every Monday unless I'm on vacation, then I let you know. You want to make a motion as this is dictated? You're okay with that? So that was a motion to have the select board chair to sign and review payroll warrants,
In the absence, the vice chair.
and in his absence, the vice chair. Yep, that's good.
Second.
Any discussion on that?
Just to be clear, was that Frank's motion, or?
Oh, whose motion is that?
I amended it.
I seconded it.
I
I
guess
think I started it.
Okay,
Okay.
He read it, I said it, I started.
okay.
Damn, I got left out of that one.
You did. You voted. Did you vote?
Not yet, we didn't vote yet, did we?
You did. No.
Okay,
Just don't
so
abstain.
everybody's clear on the motion for payroll? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, warrants is the other issue. Folks have not been good about coming in to sign the warrants. They come out weekly. What would you folks like to do for that? Same thing we did for payroll, or you're gonna try harder to come in?
I'd like to try harder. I think it's important that.
I'm gonna
Have the
try to
system
do
we
it on
have.
Monday nights. You know, I've been a
Well, the
little
only thing is
tired,
if-
but I
if
think
there's
I'm
a-
up
if
to
there-
it.
we don't
now.
have a meeting, that's when, usually when the
Yeah.
issue happens.
And
I pick up Bowden at daycare, so I can make a point to stop over.
Yes,
So my only point is that no matter who is authorized to sign, it's primarily so I can release checks. I was talking with Fritz and Lane earlier. You all still should be signing the warrant and reviewing, including payroll. So the key really is that it's just so that I can release checks in a timely fashion instead of, I would not want to not pay people for payroll. So, but you guys, according to the auditors, you all should still be doing your best to sign the warrant and review everything, both on payroll and AP. So, just as long as I can put checks in the mail, I'm happy.
and so what you've been able to do
Unless there's
because of having the
not having a
chair.
quorum. I mean, by Wednesday, we do bills on Monday. We'd like to have them, be able to put the checks in the mail. And Wednesday, I still have one signature. That's typically when I go down and knock on Dean's
I really
door.
just thought it was all just one signature. I would never have thought, I didn't realize
so
that.
payroll is
this
every
time.
2 weeks, the warrants
Right.
are every week.
Right. AP is what I'm talking about primarily, accounts payable, the bills. That's where we're only getting like one signature Wednesday, and then I run down to Dean's office and I'm like, just a newsflash, I still have checks sitting here. And then he sends an email out to you guys, like, can you guys come in? But I try to leave them on the counter, like even after Lane does payroll, and I can release payroll, I leave the packet on the counter so you guys can all review it. So, just as an FYI.
So for me personally, in September, actually, starting in August when I had jury duty for so long. But in September, my entire schedule changed and my reps, 25 things changed like in September. So I didn't get a habit of coming down like I had before that. I think it was Tuesday afternoons worked really well and previously.
So you're okay with
So I'll do the best I can.
every week?
yeah.
Okay. So do we need a motion for that, Dean? I mean, this is,
If you designate, well, if we're gonna leave it the same, there's no motion.
Yeah, okay, status quo.
this is in accordance with
Right.
statute guidelines. So, okay, we're good with that. So Dave, you're not on our agenda, so if you have a couple of minutes you want to talk to us.
Yeah, no,
Go
I
ahead.
just wanted to follow up on that trail thing. I know I just laid it out there, but I thought I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I thought, 53 people liked it just out of the blue, so. There's the discussion about design and that sort of thing. And here's my proposal, and I'm going to give this to the Trails Committee, but I want.
Yeah, the Trails Committee should be your focal point.
I
As you
understand
heard,
that. I
as part of
understand.
that, then they would have come in 4 or 5 months in advance, we get it all in the plan, we're quite bureaucratic, but you want to take a couple
I'm
minutes?
going to take this little shortcut here and say what my proposal is going to be, and you guys can run with it. It's, there's 3 sections of that trail, and the whole trail has been built in sections anyways. The one section that's expensive is short. All the other stuff is just so easy, it's all right next to the road, it's all flat, there's hardly anything there, there's no trees, there's nothing. And so we could get it done really cheap, I think. And I think that what's going to happen is everybody's going to talk about design, and some designers are going to get into landscape design, and just in talking to other contractors who've worked on our trails and stuff like that, they say when the designs come in, they ask for material that can't be found anywhere near here, and it's really expensive substrate, like the holy substrate. Oh my God, it's just, extending the road 5 feet. And if we have to wait 10 years for that, it's going to blow my mind, because honestly, the state put in a whole frickin', I don't know, they spent $400,000 on that underpass. And if we leave people out on that road, the stuff I've seen, I bring this up because I go there a lot. I drive down that road. I see this stuff. Now, I'll tell you why I'm really in here. Honestly, the state park situation is a mess with the parking. And what happened, if you look at what happened with this trail, the recommendations that they make, they say things such as,
Who's the they?
the person who this is a person from ANR.
Oh, yeah.
ANR named.
The State Agency of Natural Resources.
Yeah, I forgot her name. She's a person. She said, serious safety issues that are currently associated with visitors parking on Mount Father Road and the State Park Road. And there are. It's ridiculous. And it's not going to get better. It's only going to get worse. And if we keep our heads in the sand about this, something bad's going to happen. The real issue, nobody's going to walk on that trail, honestly. Here and there, there'll be these large group of people who don't live here, who are, because people who live here don't go there. They just don't. But the people who use it are out-of-state visitors who, are looking for a town trail system, and this massive family walking up there. At any rate, we're not going to be a lot of parking there, but there's a lot of danger on people parking on those 2 roads. There's nothing in place. So the state's suggestion for us is to ban parking.
To what?
So we
Ban parking
ban parking.
on
Yeah.
State Park Road.
Yeah, so now we can issue tickets, and I think that's a great moneymaker for the town. No, but seriously, folks, something's got to happen. The state should be putting additional parking there like your uncle made them do in the first place, right there, right?
Yeah, Uncle Jerry.
Jared.
Should have been while we were doing the Route 7 construction. Looked like to me you could have gone a little bit north.
Don't
of
get me
that
started. I'm just
parking
telling you,
lot.
from going from here, going
Agree about
forward,
making that
we
big.
got to put, I've tried to put pressure on the state to do stuff over the years, and they look at me like a fly.
Well, there was a
You
couple
know,
years ago when they said that they should limit the number of people that go in the park and send everybody else elsewhere.
Yeah, send them elsewhere.
Most recently, they came in saying that they would be looking at doing an overflow parking.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the state plan right now.
Yeah, right, but it ain't gonna happen, because they don't have any will, they don't even put it in the budget.
Right,
You
but
know,
it's
this-
just gonna compound when that part of the trail gets done.
A little bit.
That's what, you know.
That's what they say.
You
That's
know.
what they say, but that's really not gonna happen. I'm not worried about us, I'm not worried about people coming to the top of that trail parking. I'm just worried more about, you know, the millions of people who are showing up on Mount Philo State Park on every busy weekend. I mean, on every nice weekend, every time. And people are walking up there, there's nothing there. So we could, as a town, try to, you know, put some parking along the sides to save people's lives, or put some lines in, or something like that. I don't know. I don't have any good solutions for that. I really don't. But I think we should be aware of it and try to address it, and before something bad happens.
I did talk briefly with Lori Thompson today, and she wasn't able to make it. Margaret Russell is out of town, so they were hoping to come to the select board in maybe a couple of weeks and talk about next steps.
You know, I'd say put a plan together. I mean, if it's cheap and dirty, even, you know, we do have money in our account, but not the money that you asked for.
Yeah, we do have 60 grand though, so, and I think we could do a lot with 60 grand in terms of, you know, just getting anything.
You're gonna go through a process because, as Matt pointed out, that some of that's for grants, is our contribution toward grants for the trails. So there's a little bit of work that has to be
There's a
done.
lot of work that has to
And
be
there's
done.
there's a wetlands permit, which Agency of Natural, I don't know if you've read the email there, but the Agency of Natural Resources is not looking to increase an impermeable surface.
What does that mean?
Impermeable surface is a surface that water hits but doesn't seep into the ground.
Uh-huh,
So by extending the roadway X%,
I see what you're
call it
saying.
10%,
In that area where the
you're
wetlands lives.
increasing
Right.
flash flood
Yeah.
into a sensitive wetland.
Even
It wasn't their number one choice.
even gravel is considered
Yeah, sure.
impervious, so.
Sure.
It depends. If you put clean stone, like 1-inch rock, the ideal to do this would be to put a guardrail and then have a path and another guardrail. And the path is clean stone. The boards that would hold the path in place that up against the guardrail post would be let water through it so they don't hold water. And then it's not impermeable. It just lets it run off through the gravel almost like a
French drain.
French drain.
It can be very minimal. I mean, and the guardrail will only have to be that section where the cliff is, where it falls off. It could be, I can't remember, it's
Short.
50 or 100 feet, but
It's only something.
Junior put that in his estimate, but he doesn't like guardrails for plowing and maybe, so, you know, it's gotta be worked, it's gotta be
I've
discussed.
done a little bit of research on this particular topic, and I have got a consultant who's willing to look at this project, who is a award-winning bridge builder. So if I'm not going to give out his name because but he said he'd look at this thing, and he really knows how to build bridges.
Also, the Trails Committee had a joint meeting with the Conservation Commission there, and the Trails Committee, I don't think saw the opportunity that I saw when I saw the meeting, but I was just someone in the audience at the time. But what the Conservation Commission was looking at doing was in line with what Agency of Natural Resources recommended, which is the lowest impact trail would be a smaller path with a bog-style bridge, which is what they have on the Long Trail.
Sure.
Stowe Recreation Path does a couple of these. And it would be off of the road, so it wouldn't be adding to the watershed from the roadway. It would be bringing in all the thousands of yards of fill.
Absolutely.
Or foreign material.
No, that's what you want, something really super low impact.
And the Conservation Commission has access to, I think, upwards of $500,000 right now.
Yeah,
That they, if it was the right project, that they would be willing to commit monies
Yeah.
to a trail
Yeah.
that showed conservation stewardship of the wetland.
Well, if they could associate themselves with the state park and the town, and the state is interested in this somehow, it gives them brownie points to work with the town somewhere. So I'm not sure which level that is, but they were real interested in talking to the town, and it wasn't just about the overflow parking rather. There's some sort of incentive they have to work with the town on the trail.
Well, there are grant applications for that comes out once a year, like I don't know when they're due, like July, I think. And you know, if you work to plan and help Lori and Margaret and your ideas, and perhaps.
When you say state, are you meaning state parks or Agency of Natural Resources?
State parks. Actually.
Yeah.
Who did we submit the grant for before?
It was a VTrans grant.
Well, that was VTrans.
Yeah.
That was so
Which
complicated.
seems like the wrong
Yeah,
agency to be working with.
As soon as we start getting other agencies paying for this, it's gonna be this whole rigmarole of planning and all that
That's the
crap.
guidelines you have to follow.
And it's still gonna cost us the same.
Yeah.
Just let Junior do the frickin' 2 sections, or better yet, this new project you guys are gonna be reviewing at some point with the big horse farm on the corner of State Park Road, Mount Father Road. I'm all in favor of it. I like it, and just
I
to
don't
let you
think
know.
we deal with it, I think.
We do the
Cruise
curb
zone.
cuts, planning does the.
I know. Just to let you guys know, though, they dump a lot of money into that agricultural stuff, and I'm all for dumping money
Is
into
that on the
agriculture.
south side or the north side?
North side.
North side.
North side. Nobody's bought that.
Northwest
Nobody's
side.
bought that land for 40 years or something.
All the way to the Smiths. Yeah, and Almond tried to donate it all to the state, but they didn't want that part of his land.
Yeah.
And the
It's,
people that purchased it are very high-end competition, dressage, and horse trainers, and the whole 9 yards.
Maybe they like
Gentleman has
footbridges.
been-
no.
Gentleman has been teaching for a
Don't-
very long time. They are very high-end. They were down in Connecticut, and they have done wonderful things with handicapped people and the whole 9 yards.
It's
So
a really,
if anybody's
really,
gonna do it right, they will.
no, I'm exactly what you.
Google their name, and I'm telling you what, the whole spread, he was an Olympic champion.
Yeah.
So.
No,
yeah.
it's all the real deal, and they want to do this whole thing like Shelburne Farms and all this sort of like Lyme, Connecticut stuff, and that'd be really, really nice right across from the state park. So if you can help them out, and then I think, well, Lane's just saying that. No, I think they'd really be into it, so maybe they'd want to plan that trail.
Well, the Trails Committee at their last meeting here said if I was interested in talking with the applicants about a trail easement that was different than the sidewalk on the side of State Park Road, that they didn't have the time for it, but they'd be happy if I did, so.
Yeah.
I mean, the time is
We were interested
now.
in
I'm
that.
planning on doing, yeah, while it's still planning.
Yeah, and while they're doing it, because they're gonna have all these bulldozers in there and crap, and
Oh, yeah.
be simple.
Now's the time.
Thanks for letting me take your time,
Thanks
man.
for-
I appreciate all
Thanks
the.
for putting it out there, though. It's a process, but we're all learning.
You gotta shortcut this process because,
Yeah, we're-
my goodness, it takes forever to get this trail done.
All roads lead to Rome, right?
All these loads lead to Mount Philo to your house.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I do.
Okay, next item on our agenda is the Australian ballot warning. It's in our packet. So Barry and Christina and Dean, you've all reviewed the numbers. The only difference is the $500 added for the Charlotte News, so otherwise it should be pretty much the same. That's what we voted on. So do we have an original? You want us to sign this, right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter what copy.
I have a clean copy.
Sure.
We should probably make a motion.
Yep.
Is there a motion to approve the April 3rd special town meeting warning?
Yes, there is a motion.
Okay. Is that seconded?
I'll second.
Okay. Discussion.
What are the numbers on the first part?
The numbers here?
Yeah.
The only thing that's changed is that if you go into your,
Oh, this is what I've got. This
oh,
was-
from the other day?
Yeah,
Okay.
this is what I wrote in from the
Yeah,
other day.
so 3145965, you got that right. 3, that's right. That's right, so yes, I think that's
Okay.
right.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions about this? Any other questions? What's attached to this? Okay. Oh. Oh, so there'll be a hearing, Dean,
Right,
April 2nd,
Right.
6 o'clock,
Yeah, I
right
thought,
here?
I mean, it can be any time really. If you prefer 7, that's
Yeah. Okay.
possible, but do you have a preference?
Nobody tends to show up, but
Well, they really won't if it's
Can it be
6.
6:59 a.m. on April 3rd?
I mean, I'd vote for 7 just because it's convenient to have dinner. What do you guys want?
I would think 7 because it's our normal.
Okay.
Are we changing the,
This is just,
right, but that's, it's got the Article 3, 4, and 5
Well,
instead of 1, 2, and 3
Right,
like
yep.
we're doing.
yeah, this has been corrected.
Yeah, I realized in looking at how it was done last year, it was done
Same these.
using the same article numbers as the town meeting warning.
Okay,
Yes. You have to be voting on the same exact
Same
thing that
thing.
was
Okay.
presented to the voters.
just making sure, because this is what we got in our book, and
Right. Yeah.
So I'd make, I guess make the modify to make it a 7 o'clock meeting.
For the informational.
For an information meeting, April 2nd. Okay, so we have a motion in the air. Any other discussions?
Can I see your report for a second?
All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye. Aye. Okay. Want me to make this the master?
Sure. It will have to be witnessed by, or accepted by the clerk.
Not
notarized.
official, by the way, ballots are done.
So you'll notarize this then? Is that what you do?
Yes. I think actually, yeah, on that, it might just be a witness.
Yeah, it's just, I guess it's received for record.
Oh, it's Mary though.
Okay.
It's not a big deal. She'll sign off on it. I'll have her sign that in the morning and then I'll
The capital reserve.
give it back to you so you can scan it.
I just had a
And
thought.
then,
To the other end.
There you go, guys.
do you post the original or you keep it?
I posted online.
Okay.
Okay.
No, I
so
mean, like, what do you do with the original sheet?
Oh, well, it can be recorded.
I do have
Well, yeah, I know,
survey.
we record it, that's why I was just
Yeah.
gonna give you back the original, scan it, I would already have recorded it.
Yeah, I mean, I keep it in the file.
Page on, are you on the fire and rescue?
Page 23?
That's not a part of this. That's done in,
I know it's not, although budget-related articles are articles that are affected by the given year in consideration's tax burden, right?
But there won't be a tax burden for the 220, because it's coming out of their capital
Right.
reserve fund.
Right.
So when you look at the capital reserve fund, they're spending this year 413,000. Accumulated left over in it is 70,000, and we've put in 80,000 in this budget cycle, which means 10,000 out of that fund is coming out of this year's taxes. If at the end of this year, they only have 70,000 left in that
Yeah,
fund,
but that
and we
contribution
allocated,
comes out of the budget, right?
we allocated 80,000,
Yeah,
then 10,000 from the fund came from this year's allocation.
but let me ask you, they can buy the air packs tomorrow, can't they? If they had 3 bids, they can buy it,
Yeah.
so it's not a fiscal, the town has to vote on approving the air pack expenditure. They did. So they could literally buy the air packs tomorrow. It's not a fiscal year event. It doesn't,
What I'm saying is, it might be if they used money from this year's allocation.
but is it
Right,
part
right,
of
but part of that
this
is,
year's?
but
Well,
the,
yeah, because they're only left with 70,000 and we put in
I don't
80,000.
know,
think
I'm
in
saying,
this
is it part
discussion
of
is
their
it-
expenses?
There's-
Is it part of what they're spending this year?
They're showing it as FY 18-19.
let me just,
They are showing it, so that they're not going to buy them
I
until July 1.
think that this is a day late and a dollar short.
Yeah.
We already had this in front of the voters and
Yeah, it's more a question, not a,
well,
Yeah.
to me, it
cost.
was allotted to the capital reserve fund, not the money. It's
so
being voted on in our budget for the capital reserve fund, not necessarily for, I know it's coming out for, it may come out for those, but wasn't voted in.
The reason it was on the ballot was because of the MOA, which has nothing to do with the budget.
Well, it's not an Australian ballot. See, anything that is in this year's cycle needs to be done by Australian ballot. But we approved the sale of it because of the MOA by voice vote, which is part of the MOA. But if they needed money this year for it, it would also have to be a ballot issue. And technically,
It was a ballot issue based on, it was in their budget for amount of monies to go to their capital reserve fund.
so you're saying just because we vote the budget in and
Yeah, the contribution of the capital reserve fund is contained in the budget, Article 3.
so it will be getting
Which is
voted on.
already getting voted on.
Yeah, in April. Okay. Just wanted to,
Okay.
it usually never comes up because the fund usually has enough money in it that it's spending previous year's money, not this year's allocation.
Well, that may come and go as trying to
Funds.
match the,
So you're good with that then?
Yeah, just, yeah.
And the previous year's book. Okay. The next item is town meeting debrief. I've got a couple things to comment on. Sounds like we ought to activate our affordable housing committee.
Yeah, that's a great takeaway.
I didn't even see it in the book as a committee being,
It was taken out a couple of years.
Yeah, they've been out a few years.
Well, what happened with the Nichols process? That was just directly through us?
No, that was a grant through the Affordable Housing Fund. They are in process, supposedly. They received some money, but they haven't finished it up.
But who administered that? It was just the select board?
Yeah, select board.
Not the
Right,
we approved.
Affordable Housing
Right,
Committee?
right.
Yeah. I remember it coming before us, I just didn't know what.
How big a committee is that? What has it been?
It's varied. I mean, when they were creating the grant, there were probably 5 people on it, 5 to 7, and then John Owen was on it from the select board, Ellie Russell was on it from the select board, and then eventually it sort of became 3, and then those people stopped, and it
kind of thought it dwindled due to lack of interest.
Did they create the grant structure?
yeah, they did.
So a different grant structure could be created?
Well, sure, it would have to come back to the select board, but
And this is where the $159,000
Yes.
is just sitting?
yep.
I was on the committee when it first started, and it was really hard to figure out how to get the grant process written, what we wanted to do and how we wanted to do it. I don't know what happened over the years to come.
Well,
It seemed like it did get some kinks worked
It-
out, or,
Yeah, I mean, there have been a few grants.
I remember.
Some of them were to Habitat, one of them, Mark Dillenbeck got one and created an apartment at his house.
Which I actually became good friends with the lady that lived there at the time.
But for the amount of money that you get, it's not huge, so for people to tie up their,
To agree to rent
Property.
control, it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's-
It was forever.
I think that's
It was
the-
weird putting it together.
The flaw that was borne out with this grant program.
Yeah, I
Because
think
it
that's
was
why
just
it's,
too onerous.
why it's sitting there. I
Right.
can't,
Who's going to volunteer for that?
But those rules and regulations, we can change them if we reactivate the committee.
Yeah, I think
So how many folks would you guys like to see? 3 or 5? We could advertise.
I think 3 is nimble and
3?
quick.
Okay?
I don't know. Especially if they're not like the last word on something, If they still have to get something approved
So
by the
if
5
you-
of us.
Get 3 new members, they ought to all be interested, so it's not like someone's been on it for a long time. So 3 might be enough. Then they can relook at the policies that we have established. Maybe they can be modified a little bit to make it less onerous, as you say.
so their mission, their task would be to review the grant program and report back to the select board.
And to me, advertise or make known, that was sort of Nancy's point. And Ellie has also said it to us, make known that money's out there, right?
Right, advertise it.
But I think that should come second to advertising how to access the money. generating a second shot at what supporting affordability in Charlotte looks like from the towns.
Well, and an amount too, because I mean, what the amount is, I mean, originally the amount was like $10,000.
It's not a lot of money, actually.
And $10,000 barely does any kind of a feasibility study to see what's going on. If you have to have your septic checked, or you have to have
Doesn't get you
something
through
done,
planning.
it doesn't, it's not gonna get you very far. So maybe a difference, maybe some way to change, adjust that to the project too, or, I don't know. I'm
Why
just,
don't we look at it as a group? If
Well,
one of
I
us
think
first,
they would bring their ideas to us, and then we would
but we should know what we're,
like them or not like them.
Well,
we have.
let them be creative. We can show them what's been done.
I mean, the amount of thought I've put into it is there's only an institution like Habitat for Humanity can do affordable housing from the federal standards of what that means. And my father-in-law has done a couple of projects in Pennsylvania, and it's a ton. He's a lawyer. It's a ton of knowledge base you need to be able to navigate that. But if we're looking at trying to get families in who can't afford to live in a $700,000 house, we don't have to abide by the federal standards of affordable housing and those definitions. We could just think of ways in which we can attract people of more moderate incomes who can still afford to live here. The two main vehicles for that I see are the town's program of having accessory dwellings. Takes almost no planning and zoning approval. It is basically pre-approved and costs very little to implement. And the other was the idea that came before the board that we decided not to put on the ballot, which was making a conditional use for duplexing in rural areas and a permitted use in the village areas. And I think that would be worth looking at that again, and maybe whatever reservations the board had about that, the largest of which I've heard from constituents being that we don't want rental properties exclusive in town. So maybe a caveat in that land use reg that says the owner has to live on the property if it's going to be duplex.
well, then it wouldn't be duplex, even though it would be shaped like a duplex. It wouldn't be duplex. It'd be
You got two different families in one home.
I realize that, but
Yeah.
you have that anyways.
That's
If-
accessory.
Even with it as an accessory apartment, it doesn't have to be a family member. It can be anybody. So,
It doesn't
If-
have to be a
if-
duplex.
so if you give them a permit for a duplex, that means that the owner does not have to live there. So,
An accessory dwelling doesn't have to be a separate building?
no, it
You
doesn't
can
have,
divide a house and
yes.
have it be an
it doesn't,
accessory
it
dwelling?
does not have to be a separate
I
building.
just did one up on Churchill Road, Coleman out, Trish Coleman.
Well, that's a
and her
separate-
son.
that's a
Yeah,
separate
That's what you
house.
said, those.
That's what I
Separate,
understood,
on the
right.
same 5-acre
I
lot.
didn't think the same 5,000 square foot house could be split in half and you could have an accessory
Sure.
dwelling in one home.
Sure.
Okay, well then, I think that seems like the quickest vehicle to increasing the housing stock overnight.
Let me see what you get for interest. Maybe a select board member would like to join the committee. I mean, see what happens. Yes.
I was just gonna suggest, considering that, the affordable housing whole process seems to have been very cumbersome, not to mention the simple fact that it's been so long, that even if you guys reenact the committee, maybe the select board should review the whole process yourselves, the documents, just to kind of make notes on what you think was cumbersome and needs to change.
and what we'd like
And
the
then the
committee to
select board, liaison or whatever, meets with the committee and says, okay, these are what we think might have been a hang-up, can you guys come up with something better? To at least give a committee some direction
Absolutely.
as to what you're looking
Well,
for.
if we get volunteers, then we could have a meeting with this new committee and do what you just said.
Right, well, that's what I'm saying, the select board should probably review all the documents for the affordable and then, direct the committee.
Do you think Nancy Wood would be interested? Or she doesn't have the time?
Who?
Nancy?
Nancy
Nancy who?
Wood?
Oh. She's traveling a lot. I've asked her before about stuff, and she likes to come to the meetings. And I think asking her is good. I can ask her. But
She brought it up.
she brought it
Put
up.
up or shut up.
She has the skill set.
I don't know about Ellie. Ellie brings it up to me once a year. She may not, she hasn't this year, but she did halfway through last year.
So I think that we should have it on our agenda, we get familiar with it, talk about it, we know if we want 5 people, 3 people, where we want them to look. You know, it's been 5 years, 7 years since I saw what the rules and regulations are.
Right, and don't get me wrong, Matt, I'm not against the duplex. I'm just saying.
I was
that
under the wrong impression. I thought that's what duplexing allowed, that
No.
accessible dwellings
No,
didn't.
duplexing just allows that the owner does not have to occupy the other, either one of the, I mean, again, you can have an accessory apartment and then the owner can live in the accessory apartment and rent out the big part of the house. Or
But the owner has to live.
or the main house and they have their accessory dwelling over the garage.
But the owner can't not be there with an accessory.
At this point in
For accessory,
time, no,
right.
for an accessory dwelling.
Just to get it approved, or 10 years down the road, they still have to,
As far as I know,
For the
it's
for the
supposed to
CO.
be, it's one of the apartments or the house has to be,
the landlord.
has to be the owner of the property.
Yep. And then you don't need any additional density. For a duplex, you would need the additional 5 acres, but you wouldn't have to, the owner doesn't have to live there.
Right, and if you're dealing with a single house that's been split, if there are times when it doesn't push anything on the septic, so it can be, an accessory apartment can be added to a building and not have an impact on the septic, depending on the design.
Well, let's not solve it now. But in contrast, if we have people that we know that are interested, we can have this discussion with those people and then we can kind of delegate it. If we do it and say, okay, we need 5 people, then we come back 2 months later after the 5 people have volunteered, you gotta go through it again. I just delegate from the start.
I disagree.
Okay, so what do we want to do?
I'd like to understand what we actually have to offer anyone in the Board of Health. It's been a long time.
I could go either way.
I'm open. I'm open. It's a
Yeah,
process.
I'm open to making sure we know the process.
So why don't you put it on the agenda in the future then for discussion?
Thank you.
And get us the information on what did exist.
Yeah.
So like application or something, is there an application you put in the?
A grant, you're talking specifically the grant program?
Yeah, yep, you would make us up,
Yeah, maybe
information
pretend
packet.
that we're
about
all
what
trying
you
to
want.
apply.
Yeah, I mean, it is on the town website, but yeah.
Well, I like paper in my hand.
Okay,
and,
yep.
Like, my,
There's that paper website back again.
right, it is. Then you're gonna give us a little report, you're gonna tell us,
It's funny, it happens all the time. Old school wants the paper.
So another thing that came up at town meeting was the town buying the corner lot, the Bitspear Maplefield lot. And after I thought about it, I thought it was not necessarily appropriate because we already have all the controls through the zoning administrator, the ZBA, and the zoning administrator. Why would the town want to spend X amount of money when we already have the controls? Anybody who wants to build.
Well, one would question those controls, as you saw with the last application. You know, the controls also are questionably unfair. And so I think the town made a decision years ago to make that an unusable property and
Yes, you're right.
has somewhat of a responsibility to insulate from something that the town doesn't want going in there. The best way to protect something is to own it. And the town did this with Burns property and the wetlands, and it is at the gateway of the town, and there was a resounding resolve at the floor to look into it.
Okay.
I mean, it was only one person that said nay in the whole meeting.
So there
So,
were a few of us in the back that were trying to scream as loud as we could, nay.
ah,
So,
got lost in the bleachers.
So you would, Do you remember what the value is?
He said Gary Farnsworth, when they were thinking about turning it into a park and ride, during that feasibility study, said that it was $750,000, which could be less. And my thoughts are, it could be a structured payment for, either an estate or a family member who doesn't want to take a huge capital gains. It could be structured over several years, 5-10 years. And then it would be a retirement income, which is what most people's investments of 30 years of owning land in town actually have been. It'd be interesting to investigate it and maybe put some feelers out on Front Porch Forum, have that discussion. I'm sure it's going to be a lively one. And not have a position really.
Let me
This is
ask you.
something that came up at town meeting and we're following up on.
So the regulations are very restrictive. Do we, let's say we, the town, own it. I mean, we still go to the ZBA to administer our regulations, right?
Yeah, and if the town owns it and the townspeople want to do something with it, then the townspeople can change the land use regs. I mean, that's how the process could work. It might take 5 years, it might take 10 years, but in the meantime, we know there's not going to be something that the town doesn't want getting pushed through land use regs with lawyers and money, because the town owns it. Just like we own the Burns property, the flea market.
And those are $40,000, $50,000 jobs, not.
Well, there was hundreds of thousands came in from
Was
other funding sources, but the town wasn't on the hook for that.
Christina?
So as a taxpayer, I have a question. We are not spending any money on this feasibility, are we?
I wouldn't think any money needs to be spent
Okay.
on it.
And then that obviously is going to go by Australian ballot to the voters, correct?
It would have to.
Yeah, because,
If anything came of it. I think looking into it would inform the select board if it's even worth.
yeah, because I don't mind my taxpayer dollars going for a new roof. We don't need any more property. And I do have to say that there are a ton of people that I've spoken to since then that are outraged over it. So I think the quantity of people that was at town meeting that said yes, I do not think reflects the majority. I do think if even the feasibility was put out there, I think you would find there would be a resounding no. So I just want to make sure that we're not going to get so far over our heads before you actually put it out there to find out.
Is there a description that goes with the feasibility as to what you would want to do with it?
I think that's part of the sounding board that the community will inform the select board of. I see us as being the managers of the town's assets, not the visionaries.
So where do you start this ball rolling then?
Through, I'd say Front Porch Forum is probably the best avenue to.
See, and what's the question?
I guess it goes on should also go on a select board agenda, a discussion.
You guys drop a questionnaire.
Have people come in. I can start working on ideas about how to present and move forward with Article 8, which is for the, it would probably be maybe even a Charlotte News piece of this article came up. The select board met at the first meeting and thought about how to move forward. Thought it really should become a community dialogue to see if this is something that the town desires, and that the select board's willing to facilitate that discussion. That way there's no agenda, there's no kind of
Put the question out there.
presupposed process.
Put the question out there. If
there.
there's some people in town that want to have control over this piece of property, they get together as a group and buy it.
But then you're getting private ownership for a particular reason,
Well,
probably.
and it may even stimulate such an act. Maybe one person in town will buy it and gift it to the town. You never know.
Hmm.
But without pursuing, I think our diligence is to pursue Article 8 and see where it goes. And, I don't think it was on any of our agendas for this year, but it definitely was almost a unanimous motion.
What about doing like a questionnaire where you put it on, there's a link to the town website to fill out a questionnaire, regarding thoughts and ideas for Group 7, and then on your Front Porch Forum, you attach the link to it also, and
I think it's a good idea. I've never seen a very effective turnout on any questionnaire, ever. But I don't think it can hurt.
You get the extremes, right?
Yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say, who's gonna field all these ideas and papers and emails that are gonna come through the door when you pose that question on Front Porch Forum?
I would take on the task.
I was gonna say, because if not, if you do it in a questionnaire form, at least then you kind of have a across-the-board avenue of how answers are gonna come in to be able to filter through it and, you know.
No, I'd probably set something up as onerous as the Excel spreadsheet for the town plan recommendations and emails. That seemed to work pretty well. And was voluminous.
That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, that's part of the community development process.
So what's your recommendation? To bring it up at a meeting, talk about it, or you want to do a little thinking first?
Yeah, how about the next meeting, I'll kind of bring up some ideas of what I might put on Front Porch Forum as a message moving forward from us about Article 8, and then, see if you guys think it makes sense to have a Charlotte News article about it, or I guess I had my homework cut out for me.
That won't necessarily be the next meeting, it might be the meeting after next, right, Dean?
That'd be good.
Right.
Since
We'll
you've
give you
warned
a
this.
little
Give me enough time, I can use it.
By Monday? That's the next meeting?
How
No.
long are you on paternity leave?
No, I'm off, I'm back full time.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, what was the next one? Susan Ohanian's assault weapons.
Oh yeah, you're signing
Memo.
that? You sign that?
It hasn't been put in letter format.
I think because it's a non-binding vote, my take is it would be up to the select board to vote to do it. I mean,
I don't know, yeah, I don't know how that.
it's a vote on an article that wasn't warned, so it's an advisory motion to you.
What was your comment, Carrie? What would you say?
Not on behalf, she asked for the chair to sign it, but not on behalf of the select board.
Well, that's what she meant. I mean, I can't sign
On
this.
behalf of me.
What was the one that Lane sent?
Last year?
Yeah.
That was impeached
Impeach Trump.
based on his financial, there's a word I can never remember.
But did we vote? Did we vote to
We didn't vote to
agree to
send
that?
that. You just,
Or you just
we
did it?
just sent it.
Did we send it as a select board?
No, I didn't sign
She
it.
wrote it
Sent
the
it as
same
the
way.
town.
Yeah, the town, then.
She attempted to have the clerk sign it, and the clerk amended it on the floor for it to be the chair. Mary handed that off to Lane very quickly, and then it was unanimously voted that Lane would be the one to sign it.
Well, we have to figure out what we're gonna do about such a thing, because I didn't agree with last year, nor do I agree with this year as it being on behalf of the select board.
We could send it anonymous.
That won't have a lot of weight, right? On counter Charlotte stationery?
Yeah.
So what do people want to do on this one?
I'm not thinking when I read the handbook that falls under the category of stuff the select board's supposed to do,
Okay, good.
but
Certainly no.
Any advice to us, Dean?
I think it's not required that you act on it.
Okay.
It's just an advisory motion.
So nobody wants to take any action, is that what I'm hearing? Okay. Any,
The value is 618, by the way, for you to know. The value of that property is 618.
That's very
618,000?
valuable to know. That's what its tax value is?
That's what we have on the ground list.
is that where the building's torn down or not torn down?
That would be a lister question.
That's where the building's.
It's as it is right now, in the condition it's in, it's 618.
Okay, anything else from the town meeting debriefing?
Has it been condemned?
No,
It's still occupied. On the which meeting? Sorry, Elaine.
Anything more from the town
you
meeting
don't occupy it for 2 years.
debriefing?
I think that's a health officer question.
If you don't occupy a building for 2 years, it becomes considered dormant, isn't it?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
If you don't occupy a building for 2 years, there's some issues that,
If it's non-compliant, there could be considered abandoned, but it's an allowed use, so it's not non-compliant.
Yeah, It's not the structure, it's the use, and the use is allowed there. So it only after, if the use isn't done, if it's a non-conforming use, it loses it after 6 months, but.
It's an allowed use, but we just don't let anybody use it that way. For a gas station and a restaurant, we're already there. That's an allowed use, but no, you can't put it back up as a gas station and a restaurant.
Well, that's because our description in our zoning bylaws is antiquated.
Okay, we want to talk about our liaison assignments.
No, boy.
So we have the sheet in front of anybody have changes? They want to do something the same or different?
Where, oh yeah.
You good, Fritz, with fire and rescue?
If nobody else wants to do it. If somebody wants to stand up, that's fine with me.
I
Do we
think
have
there's
to
a,
join as a member?
I think there's a synergy of interest.
Yes.
Well, it's pretty hard to know what's going on if you don't. Well, I don't know, if you join though, then you have a conflict of interest.
Then we'd have 2 people over there, because
Yeah.
he's already a member. They'd probably put you on the board, Dean, so that, or Fritz.
If somebody else joined and then we had a third person, we'd have a quorum and it would meet.
Lord.
Yeah.
State police, Matt, you like doing that?
Yeah, that's
Can
been great.
continue?
And work
Okay.
well with Matt.
Township Point wastewater, Fritz? Road commissioner, Bridges, what?
Road commission's fine. Wastewater, I seem to have a hard time hitting all those meetings.
I'm willing to do that if you want to change there, I don't mind.
Sure, I haven't been the best liaison at that committee.
Because I do the
Is
other
there a lot of
part.
meetings?
Oh, there's 3 or 4 a year, but trying to get all those guys nailed down at one time, it's like the first day of a meeting and then they schedule it and reschedule it. I think I've missed the last 2 because they wasn't up on the scheduling.
I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to do senior center, unless anybody else wants to do that. Library,
Take my name off there once.
anybody, Fritz, you're on the library, does that work for everybody? Anybody else?
Yeah,
want-
they want me to stay, so I'll stay.
And what is it like to be the senior center liaison?
What's it like to be on it?
What do you,
I go to about a third of the meetings. They meet once a month. They're, as Beth would say, they're not very dynamic, the meetings. I'm over there on lunches and other activities, so I'm there maybe 3 hours every week. I certainly know what's going on. They kind of treat me as a board member, so I think it's working out fine. Yeah, I do lunches, I'm more than that, I'm over there about 6 hours a week probably. Bridge, I run the bridge program, a couple lunches.
You teach it?
Well, I'm the director of it, we have a fellow who helps with the teaching. It's a good system we have, it works out well. So Monday afternoon is bridge. A lot of enthusiastic bridge players.
Their bridge?
I have to wait 20 years.
Well, our library, does everybody say okay with Fritz?
Yeah.
Everybody's good? Matt, Park and Wildlife?
Yeah, I like that, and it gets me working with Sue Smith, who's also the deputy tree warden and doing the Emerald Ash Borer stuff. It seems like a good fit.
Planning and zoning is Carrie and Frank, because you want to continue that way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Fine.
Conservation says Frank.
Yep, you can continue
good.
that, that's fine.
Mad Energy,
Yeah, if someone else had a burning or electrical desire to be on that committee.
Recreation, you do a good job there.
Yeah, I'm really,
Children growing up, that's probably good.
yep.
Trails,
I'd like to stick with that. There's some continuity and institutional memory there.
and then town properties and facilities, I'm not sure what that is, but you guys, Fritz and Carrie.
I'm not sure what that is
I
either.
know. I
Is that the
saw
new
that
roof?
earlier. I was like,
We usually get up on the roof and repair the shop.
Fritz has done that.
How often does the energy committee meet?
Not even once a month. Quarterly, maybe?
I could do that for you if you wanted. Give me something new to learn about.
What, you want to do energy?
Carrie, yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be great. I think it's probably the committee that has a collection of people with the highest skill set in that field.
Yeah, they are.
Every single person has
No,
in a different part of the field.
Oh, cool.
Construction, design, engineering, it's like a ton of skill sets.
And actually, that's good because they're gonna be coming in with a town plan amendment, so you'll have,
Yeah.
that background.
So you put okay, so everybody's good with the assignments? We have a work plan you put together for us, things that get done by the month, a draft.
Yeah, so what I did was, things that are basically often standard, we've done for several years. There could be other things that you decide you want to do as well.
I didn't see the MOA on here.
I did not put out that on there.
I should have a draft for you. I'd like to say April, if that's all right.
Well, somebody said, did you say Tom's already talked to Mary about that?
Well, yes, Tom, I believe,
Cousin.
I've talked
wants
to,
to talk with Mary. I think
Okay.
that we need to have, I think there should be, I don't know, 6 or 8 people to sit down and, from the beginning and start over, not just one person per se, and I don't know, just learn to get along and just understand it and talk about it and go from there. It shouldn't be, I think it can be done. Not should be done. I think it can be done. We just find the right way to find the time to work. Works for everybody.
When does it expire?
huh?
When does it expire?
Supposed to, it doesn't expire, it's supposed to be updated every 2 years, and we're probably a year delinquent. I don't think we're delinquent, it's about now it should be redone. So within it says we review it every 2 years.
Did we review it 2 years ago?
Oh, I have my notes.
I don't remember. Did
It's what, 3 years?
Well, we reviewed the surplus clause, and then we never
That's right. We
filled.
never went back, right?
So that was about 2 years ago. So Tom said he would talk to Mary? Or was that what you were thinking?
Oh,
or-
I don't know, I think it's a
Yes, I
select board
think
job,
there's-
it's not the clerk treasurer's job.
I think there's actually sometime on
But she's could be it.
the agenda for Monday, if you wanted to start looking at it. I don't know if it's too soon to start looking at that.
Well, it's an agreement with 2 sides, so I mean, the select board can sit here and rewrite the whole thing, and it needs to be, it's not a one-sided dictated agreement.
Yeah, I don't want to do it.
So I don't think that, I mean, anything that should be changed needs to be done with both people talking. So that was the original intent of just a couple people talking over there and then giving it to the select board. If other people want to get involved in that conversation, we could do it again, I suppose.
I'm just trying to understand how to make it so that everybody understands it, works it, and likes it.
Well, the last one is gonna be tough.
Wow.
Works it and understands it is
That's not too hard.
likes it is gonna be a tough one.
Christina?
If you're looking to have Mary in on the conversation, I would highly recommend checking with her on her schedule to make sure she'll be at the meeting.
Frankly, we have a rather in-depth email from her, and we've gone through meeting over there every single paragraph. And as Fritz said, some good points, some things we're not going to agree on. I think ultimately we'll bring it to the board as a draft, and we can go through paragraph by paragraph. You got to start someplace. So
Yeah.
we have an existing document. Mary did a nice job coming up with points, and we can sit around a table like this and go through them.
Absolutely.
Okay.
With Mary and Tom and
Okay. Any other comments to the draft work plan? What was the thing that we haven't addressed? Wasn't something else that people were,
Thompson's Point, ordinance,
Ordinance, yeah.
oh, the ordinance?
that's
Oh, and you're right, and dealing with
Lane's Lane.
the Lanes Lane ordinance, rental agreements. That's, you
Yeah,
gotta do
it's-
that.
And wasn't there something about the hookup fee or
Yes,
something?
we have rough numbers. We need to work that through, because there are people ready to go right now that want to hook up. The force main's been laid. That should be,
Priority,
especially
going into.
yeah, next month or so. So that's gonna be, what are we calling that? Is it Lanes Lane specifically, or is it?
No, no, it's the whole ordinance, it's, the whole thing is,
Wastewater ordinance, or?
yeah, wastewater ordinance. Yep.
There were some things that weren't necessarily Lane's Lane that were kind of obtuse and
Exactly,
outdated,
yep,
and the entire ordinance needed to be
reviewed.
reviewed.
And then a subset of that is the hookup of Lanes Lane. And
Yeah.
Yep,
we went through how to do it from I think, Matt, you came up with 3 options, you know, people want to do it immediately, people didn't want to do it all, and then some people do it but pay it over years. I think you came up with 2 or 3 options, and everything was good, we just have to resurrect that and approve it.
For that, and then the rest of the ordinance, we should have that on the agenda to go through. And
I think you changed the ordinance. The ordinance was fairly straightforward, it just was a kind of a required hookup.
Well, I think Mary pointed out a bunch of historical versions.
Yeah, there's
that-
stuff in there, it's not accurate.
Okay.
And I think, I don't remember the email, but there was some stuff that was like ancient or not accurate or not applicable.
Right, there were some lists in there about
Well, the ordinance was-
different properties that were supposed to be hooked up and not
stuff
hooked
like that.
up.
That's why I was gonna
Something was
suggest that Mary be
amended-
a part of that conversation.
Amended but never signed and stuff like that.
Yeah, there was
so-
stuff that was never signed, and there's some stuff in there, the way things are billed out, and various other things. So there's a lot of work to that ordinance that needs to be done, and I do highly recommend that Mary be a pretty active part of that, because she's kind of been there since the thing was created.
So it's her fault.
Or a stuff.
I don't really think she was that involved when it was created. She's just lived with it since then.
So we'll make
How did
sure
you
that
guys come up
Mary's
with this
part
list?
of
I
that.
just had that question.
What was that?
this list,
Yeah, how did you guys come up, because it's the select board, and did
Yeah,
you guys come up with it? Did you?
I came
Come
up
up
with
with
it's more or less things that we've done over the years. I mean, it's pretty much, we had the same list last year with a little bit of tweaking. Just things that basically we need to do every year.
So
Most
that's
of it.
really kind of just the housekeeping
Yeah.
and stuff. It's not really what the select board's goals are then, because that's not really.
No, right,
the
that's-
projects.
Right, that's what I said.
I think they call it ticklers in other
Yeah.
organizations. It's like, oh yeah, we forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just wondering if there was any, where you guys come up with what you want to.
Well, I think the wastewater ordinance is, not take as long. The MOA is gonna take quite a while. There's gonna be, as Fritz says, it's not gonna be, everybody's not gonna smile and say it's perfect. 'Cause,
Well, so there's also the village wastewater. Where's that at?
The which one?
The village wastewater committee.
Oh, yeah, I don't know about that.
What do you mean?
Where's that? Yeah.
We're just kind of plugging along and assuming the town plan's gonna get approved, and it did. So our next meeting is gonna be,
We're almost through the whole allocation ordinance. I believe there's a lot of discussion between the engineers in the group, Kate, Fritz, and Dave, about the application, about the actual use of it being more of an engineer, that ordinance being more of an engineer technical stuff. The only thing we really have left, I think, is figuring out how we want to do the dollar amounts, right? That's kind of like the last chapter we're working on,
yeah,
and
I think we got to a point where it's kind of like, well, let's make sure we get the direction from the town plan. It just kind of goes along with that. So,
because we were going in one direction, and then after having the meeting with the planning commission, we had to rein back a few avenues that we were thinking it was going to go down, because it didn't really coincide with kind of the avenue the plan was going with.
So should that come to the select board at some point? Or, I mean, is it?
I think when it gets to that point, we'll be happy to let you know.
we just want to hand it off to them as pretty much a almost finished draft so that they can make the changes and adjustments or sign off.
I think that's the idea, is to say, this is what the committee has come up with, deliberations and talking to everybody. And
Do with it what you will.
There you go. Knock yourself out.
I think that's kind of the general consensus. We're going to hand it off and say, okay, this is what we've come up with, do with it what you will.
You know, that's good. Another one, as we've talked already tonight, is trails. I mean, we really have to, we've had a lot of discussion. You know, it's not a one-time thing. We kind of got to work through what the next phase is. Are we going
Well,
to
and
do?
there's two ways to look at that. You look at it as a trail and following the trail's path of things, or you look at it now, it's all of a sudden a public safety issue. And you come at a public safety issue from a different angle than how you address it.
Well, I'd like to see the Trails Committee present something, you know, more information, you know, get their work done to come up with the, you know, a plan and, you know, and find out what it's gonna cost.
Well, yeah, we got.
And what direction they plan on going, whether they're gonna put a boardwalk through the wetlands, or if they're gonna put something alongside the road. You know, they keep jumping around. I'd like to, you know, have a concrete plan and know what the expense would be.
You're gonna talk to the new landowner?
Yeah, I'll need a little bit to see if there's any will in the development process of that parcel.
Because if you could go from the, I don't know if this is true, but when you're heading east on the, what's the Trevor Mount Trail, and then you would cut south to go over to State Park Road. You go straight through over to Mount
That
Royal.
one we looked at, I haven't personally talked with them, but straight is not an
It's not
option.
work.
There are other neighbors' property lines that are involved, and the topography of the wetland there makes it two really steep approaches. It'd have to be somewhere closer to State Park Road, but somewhere between 50 to 100 feet away and 350 feet away. There's a really gradual part that comes down to Kimblebrook on both sides. And it would still bow back to where the Smith's driveway is. And then 40 feet along State Park Road, under that telephone pole, along that new fence that's been put in. There's no real way to get across, you know, get west of it anywhere north of that point.
So when we have State Park Road more dangerous than Greenbush Road?
That's one of the things that seems funny to me, is they're so worried about this little section on State Park Road, and when the trail ends, it dumps you out on Greenbush Road, which is more traffic, same speed limit, and just as narrow with no shoulders.
Yeah,
And for a longer way, wouldn't it be?
So,
well, I think
Seems like it.
I think having a recreation path or trail be a impromptu sidewalk is not the vision or the system that this trail is supposed to be. And whenever it runs into a tough junction, to just say, oh, well, now people can walk and bike on the side of the road, that's not
it's not.
a town link trail.
We've got this portion to make it safe, but it doesn't make it safe until it stays off of Greenbush Road and gets here.
Right, and I'd rather have it end at co-housing and wait and figure out how to continue it.
Which
versus-
ultimately is the plan, to get the
Well,
easements to
yeah.
the north.
It is, except, you know, like what happened at town meeting, people on the Trails Committee seem willing to just throw it all up in the air and see if people are willing to put a sidewalk in instead. And I just don't think that putting that square peg through a round hole is the right approach.
So anyway, for goals, then we would have trails. And we have to even determine what is our goal. Is it small or is it broader? There'll be opportunities for grants again. We don't want that to be a last minute thing. We want people to be aboard.
Yeah,
We don't want to
just to be
spend all of
clear,
our seed money on fixing that one chunk, and then we're gonna be down to zero, and we're still just dropping people off on a speedway on Greenbush
Yeah.
Road.
Well, and the people at town meeting last year heard and voted on an idea that then was subverted this year. You know, and to me, that kind of teeters on the public trust. Like, people said yes to $40,000 last year because they thought it was leveraging a lot more money. Not because they thought next year they'd say yes to spending it all in one shot, or in one little section.
Spending it all in one shot answered the question, got them from there to here without being in a dangerous road shoulder, but that's one thing. But spending it all only gets you halfway there, which to
Not
me-
even halfway.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Still doesn't, it still just pushes that public safety issue down the road. It's
Right.
like after 3 months of a group of people walking down Greenbush Road, everybody's gonna say, what?
We need a police
It's like,
department.
well, we just dumped them there. It's like, well,
Just to be clear, I mean, there was an application, grant application submitted with the idea that the 40,000 would be the match, and it was rejected, so that application program isn't probably the right program. And just one more thing, the proposal at town meeting was not the Trails Committee's proposal, it was David Garbo's proposal. The Trails Committee felt like they didn't want to just leave him, you know, dangling in the wind, so they stood up and supported it, but it wasn't their proposal. They're not the ones who thought about it, or...
Lori came up with a budget explanation.
No, well, she did,
And she
but
said
it
if her
was,
math is correct, that's $99,999.
it was Dave Garbos who asked for the estimates and then provided that. And, I mean, I think there was discussion, but it wasn't the committee's idea to bring it up at town meeting. It was Dave Garbos.
And the other thing is, I really clearly remember in the application process, which we deliberated a lot on for the VTrans grant, is they didn't think they were even gonna get it this year because they wanted to apply for it again this year.
I mean, you do
Not
need to...
spend all the money
Right.
and not apply.
Right, it is a program.
There was a very clear will to reapply, that all of a sudden there doesn't seem to be that way.
Well, that was after
We
a
got a
discussion with...
debrief from-
with Kaplan,
Kaplan,
and he was like,
there's some issues with our,
yeah,
Now
there's...
we're gonna get it.
Right.
that was supposed to be a bicycle transportation grant, and it really didn't fit into transportation at all. It was recreational trail. I think the grant money was supposed to be to
Get,
ease traffic kind of,
like in Winooski and
yeah.
Colchester.
And it was-
Jericho, actually.
Now, did they look into a recreational grant?
They haven't yet.
Because I know there's
is
a
February.
recreational trails grant
Yeah.
for like up to $50,000, I think it is.
It's in February is the application, so it'll be next February.
It's getting-
okay, anything else for goals?
New chairs for the select board for this.
New chairs.
I might have a lead.
On chairs?
Yeah, so
Like the ones we sat on for the town meeting? Comfortable and,
they might be. There's an opportunity with a tenant that's possibly leaving, and I
Oh.
could maybe capture
A
I'll see if
discount
they
rate?
want- They might want to donate them to the town.
oh, fabulous.
I'll see how my salesmanship is.
Good.
Give a hand at it.
This one's got this crack, and they started out, beginning of the meeting, it's about this big, and now it's about like that.
Yeah, mine's
So if
about
we don't hurry up, I'm gonna be on the floor.
I'm about a quarter inch too.
We don't need a motion on this, or?
No.
Just ideas for things.
Yeah.
So I just had something reflecting on town meeting, and would love to read it into the record. The Free Press did a breakdown, I don't know if anyone saw that, of all the towns.
Yes, you mean a paragraph by paragraph? Yeah, I saw that.
So I compiled them all, and I just want to throw them out there really quick. Bolton had a budget increase of 7.7%. Charlotte, 3.2%. Colchester, 2.9%. Essex, 4.6%. Heinsberg, 12.7%. Huntington, 5.9%. Jericho, 1%. Milton was a rarity, it was down 2%. Richmond was up 6%. Shelburne up 7.6%. South Burlington up 40%.
Who was up 40?
South Burlington, I think they have a huge wastewater purchase that they're trying to do to buy back a section of their town that's being privately done. St. George, a 0.07 decrease. Their whole budget was $280,000. Underhill, the biggest, down 10%. Westford up 4.7%. Williston up 4.7%. And Winooski up 6.8%. So Charlotte 3.2, we're way at the bottom of the curve here.
However, the two articles that were approved adds to that.
Oh, there were other articles in all of these towns.
15, 30,
I just
okay,
did,
just
yeah,
the
they're-
base budget?
Yeah, they were
Okay.
just the base budget. And actually, Underhill's is a little misleading because they separate out their road budget, which was up, and it was bigger than their town budget. So it was like up to something %, but the smaller one was down 10, so I don't know where that shook it out. But
We're in the mix.
you were in the mix, and I'd say on the low end.
So with the 2 articles, what did the final number end up being? What did we?
I think
It's in the town report.
somebody, Mary wrote answer Citizen, I think.
Yeah, it's in the newspaper today.
Yeah, it was in the Citizen
or
today.
was-
There's more than that.
5.3?
5.3 sounds right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I think I remembered crunching.
And then that'll be on top of the education tax that's gonna go up too. So tax bills will probably be between 9%, 7, 9%.
Mike Antofsky's report, it's possible that it could be going down significantly if it gets out of committee.
I'll put money on it.
But we have no control over what the
I
state
mean, that's Mike
says.
Antofsky's, but we got a direct report from, you know, the education and what they're expecting. They sent a letter out to
Well, I
everybody.
saw that, but don't forget, we're in the second year of this, thanks for consolidating, so it's a little bit of a discount we get for
And
2
that is
more years.
eaten up by, that is eaten up just by them lowering the equalized pupil rate. The state wants to lower it from, what is it, 10.3 or 10.3 down to 9.4. So your 9 cents, your 8 cents is gone right there by them, because we have to make up that difference. And we spend 15 per student, and the state is saying 9.4. So we have to make up that $6,000 difference between them, and that's a decrease what the state's considering decreasing it. So that's where your incentive goes. That's poof, gone.
Okay.
What a surprise.
Yeah.
It's
funny how that works.
With numbers, Matt, people at this town meeting versus last year's town meeting, do we have those numbers
Oh,
yet?
I haven't seen.
Well, it was
As far
640.
as attendance?
I
It
know
was
it's
640. I
this
think it
year.
was 1,300. Is that right? What was it last year?
How many voted?
Well, maybe that's
Last
a
year?
presidential. The presidential was 13.
Yeah, presidential was high. Last year's town meeting, I don't know, I'm thinking it was close to 900 maybe.
It's probably in there.
Yeah.
It was 825 or something.
No.
It was around 900.
I was
No.
thinking it was like 860 something.
Where would it be in here?
In the select board report, you actually got that number.
Oh, that's right, because that's right.
But 640 voted this, and we have 3,100 registered voters.
640 of 3,100?
Yes.
831.
And
voted last
attendance
year.
estimates at the actual meeting? Anybody give
831,
that?
yeah.
There was 130 roughly at the actual floor vote.
Yeah.
And that was at the beginning, because if you count at the end, there was like 30 people left.
Last year it was 173. And you said it was 130 that voted at the height?
Yes, there was 130 at the floor, but that's a rough estimate, because they were doing you had the.
And some people may have abstained.
They were doing the head count, you know, to try to get some of those votes, so
Yep.
that's why it was kind of like, it was probably between 100 and 130, 125. So
Good
that was a
ballpark.
decrease, and then a decrease in the Australian ballot also.
Okay, your next item on here, Dean, says Select Board liaison to committee, oh, that we've just done that,
We
right?
did that, yep, you have minutes to do.
Minutes?
The 26th are in the packet, and Rita did do minutes for town meeting, which I can distribute.
Motion to approve the meeting minutes of February 26th. Yes, we may choose to amend.
Is that seconded?
Rita, got your minutes already?
Yeah.
I'll
She did a short
second.
version. It was,
Okay, that was February? Oh, February 26th? And these are the new ones from yesterday. 2 days ago.
We approved chairs, but we didn't get it.
Hey, how come we didn't get them? They were on sale.
If it stops snowing, I'll just take my truck over to Office Depot and fill it up. It's unless my chair collapses and I have a lost time accident.
Small error, I think the state police lieutenant is Lucas, Lucas.
What line are you on?
105.
105, Lucas.
And 13 then,
What's that?
also line 13.
Okay.
And 15.
15?
115.
Oh, 115?
Yeah.
128, wherever it is.
115 again.
Yeah, 128.
120, 117.
117.
Yeah.
Ah,
Do a search.
133.
124. 131, you got that one too?
like whack-a-mole.
You got his name used a lot, 133, yeah.
Or find Waldo. Find Lucas.
Find loose.
I would love to hear the town moderator say, "Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming to town meeting. What a great day we're going to have today." Something like that. I am so-and-so, and this is the rest of so-and-sos. So, that's how I'd like to
I'll vote for you.
say, okay, thank you.
I would like that too. Just,
I'd like to put that in next year. I'd like
yeah,
to reinforce that.
yeah. I mean, first year's gotta be nerve-wracking.
Absolutely.
He introduced all of us.
Yes, it was very nice. I really appreciate it. I liked him introducing rather than me having to speak. I liked it a lot. But I just think it's really important,
Yeah.
it's really important
Welcome.
to welcome. This is your meeting. I actually have a question.
Yeah, what line are you
On line 78, I had to go back and listen to this on VCAM as well, and then now I see it's in print. So Mr. Baker explained that the ECOS is not a plan of what should happen. It's a task by the state of Vermont on how you could get to 90% of renewable energy.
Where was that? On the line?
Right.
78.
70,
Okay.
70,
Right.
80.
He said it's not a plan of what should happen. It's what could happen
Yeah.
in order to get to the 90.
Yeah, he's making
Which
a
is the
point.
next
Theoretically, this is how you could get there.
Yeah, the state had the Chittenden County Regional Planning Commissions do this exercise. And so their job,
But we're working that exercise, aren't we?
Well, they're bringing up examples where it wasn't practical. That's kind of what
Well,
Hans was.
I know that he was saying that, but, if Hans hadn't said we wouldn't necessarily know that it's just.
It's more of a guide. It's more of a guideline than something that has to be done.
Because actually, the next day, after this meeting, I heard on the news that we were behind, Vermont is behind that goal already for 2050 or something. So, I just thought that Mr. Hanahan made a lot of practical sense.
oh yeah.
I was like,
Well,
wow.
his recommendation was Hedger, Quebec.
Yeah, I mean, I heard that 5 years ago.
Yeah, when Yankee was shutting
Yeah.
down.
Right,
It's a lot
exactly,
more
yeah.
efficient than.
Yeah. And then Ed Amadon wrote something about it today too, so
Oh,
I
nice.
think we should just make sure we.
Any other changes to the minutes? All in favor of the motion, indicate by saying aye. Aye?
Okay.
Good. And the next one you just handed out?
The town meeting I'm responsible for the informational hearing, and I haven't done them yet, but Frida did do the town meeting minutes, and she asked whether she should do them in sort of the abbreviated version or the long version, and I said that last year Kath did the abbreviated version, so, you know, it doesn't say all the long discussion, it has basically the motion and the vote. And I think she did a good job. There's, I think, just 2 names that I think are spelling needs to be corrected, but other than that, I think it's pretty good.
Dave Garbos.
Yep.
Middle of page 2.
Yep. OSC, is that what it is?
OSE, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe put a $ under the budget 3, where Mary Mead made her motion.
I'm sorry, where's that?
Oh, on the second page, said motion to amend by Mary Mead.
Okay, yeah, for the $3 million.
$3
Yeah.
sign there.
Okay.
Also, should the vote count be put in for that vote, since it was counted? 53 to 75?
Okay.
It just says failed,
Yeah.
but then it was division of the House, 53
Okay.
to 75 against.
Oh, right there. What were the 2 numbers?
53 to 75.
Okay. We didn't have Craig Reynolds at the meeting this year. He usually does the motions or the seconds.
He's out of town?
Yeah, he must be, yes.
Yes, he wasn't at the recreation meeting either.
Yeah, I think he's traveling. Someone else is trying to get hold of him.
So it was a moderator that called for a division of the House. That should probably be.
Yes. What's the division of the House means? I mean, you have to vote on it then, or?
People stand and,
Oh, is that how you do that?
yeah.
How come we didn't do paper ballot?
No one called for
No
it.
one called for it.
Oh, I almost did.
What does Jerry say? You say 7 among you
Yeah.
request a paper ballot.
Well, Charlie had some comments about how the standing up and counting wasn't technically supposed to do it, that if you were gonna count, it had to be paper ballot.
Yeah.
But standing up was still not needing to count it, was still the judgment of the moderator. But he said we hadn't been doing it that way historically, so. It's just like hiring a administrator historically.
Everybody good with the changes for March 6th?
Motion to approve the town meeting minutes as
Mhm.
amended.
Second? Any further amendments?
Just Ohanian is without apostrophe
Okay.
on page 4.
So the H is not capital?
Right.
Right. Yeah, it's one more, yeah, you're right. Okay, all in favor of the motion, indicate by saying aye. Aye?
Aye.
Did we want to make that an advisory motion, as we did the other one?
Oh, it should be.
It just says motion, it should be advisory motion by Susan Hanahan.
Same with Article 8?
Yeah,
Or the first
the
one?
first part, the first one.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. No, it is a motion. Oh, yeah, like the first one.
So we should put advisory in there?
Well, motion,
By
then
Susan?
seconded, and then the advisory motion by Susan. Oh, interesting. She just did the format differently.
She did, you're right. She
Yeah.
just called it a motion. Do we want to change it and call it advisory? By definition, I think Article 8s, they have to be advisory because they're not warned.
Yeah, well, you see in the first one, it's motion by Jane Krasnow and then
Yeah.
seconded. Oh, no,
And
okay,
then- yeah.
just the second paragraph, yeah,
Right.
advisory motion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Guess that's our last change.
Wow, 12:21, it seemed a lot later. It was under.
12:30 and 9 to 12:30, yeah. The last one. Any other updates or anything for the select board?
Quick one for the library. They just came from another one of their board meetings. Their budget is, they're on budget, and they are in the process of, they sent out paperwork for their feasibility study with respect to their new addition. I don't know what the time frame is for getting that back, but the results are supposed to see whether it's worth trying or not. So,
Which means getting local donations.
yeah.
I had a resident at town meeting come up to me and ask if I would ask the select board if the town is willing to approach the new chief of Shelburne Police and see if there's any change of position on their contract now that there's a new chief in town. And I said I'd bring it up.
The only comment to that is the chief doesn't, it's the town manager who cut the deal.
So I brought that up, and the response was there's almost an entirely new select board who is in charge of the town manager. So this person thought it could be a good time to see if the new chief wanted to bring a new proposal to the town manager with a new select board.
Town manager's not directly governed by the select board, is it?
He makes decisions, he works as like board, he can make decisions, he represents, it's more like a board of directors. The select board's more like a board of directors.
Yeah.
So they have more authority. We met with him on this issue, back in the day.
And remember when we went to
were you with me?
Yeah, yeah.
He was not very supportive.
Well, we went to the meeting, and the chair of the select board was incredibly unsupportive, saying basically
That's a good idea.
Yeah, so, and that chair did not run again for re-election this year.
That's a good idea.
So, I don't know that it could hurt unless
New
there's
faces,
opposition to it.
new
Know
proposal.
what the hourly rate is that we have now is, that's the baseline. I mean,
Right.
If
That
they'd
would be-
like to do it.
Yeah. So I was thinking,
It's funny, I never saw Shelburne Police and they show up when they had the
I
contract.
didn't see much presence of them either.
But I hear that they are always here.
Jim Morton was always here because Gloria was here.
Well, then maybe that's what the heck it was.
Well, there's a new chief in town. Also, my thought was we seem to work pretty well as a team going over there. If you wanted to have two of us go, we could meet with the chief and see if he has any interest.
If you want me, I'm happy to do it.
Okay.
We've actually seen quite a few people get stopped in the last few weeks.
Yeah,
With the state
Around
police?
Baptist Corners, absolutely.
I kind of like the state police. I
Me
don't know if
too.
I wanna
Are you
necessarily-
My
gonna make,
opinion is I do too.
are you gonna make the
Well, then-
appointment or? You gonna make the appointment?
Yeah, I'll reach out. And just-
Be interesting to see if he would like to talk with us first or talk with us with the town manager. It'd be interesting to see what he.
Okay, I'll ask
what
him
he
how he would like
suggests.
to. Yeah, sure.
But if we're happy with the state police, why?
Just out of curiosity more than anything else. And to say
competition.
that I kind of followed the lead. Yeah.
Purchasing policy.
Speaking of that, one of our constituents wants to make sure we get competitive bids for the air packs, competitive bids for the generators, and he's looking for competitive bid for the roof, but, we don't need to do that for another year. We want to get half the money
I
in.
think the competitive bids will be presented before the money is spent.
It would have to be.
That's right.
Way
I
down
was
the road.
talking to the chief yesterday, and they still got at least 3 people that are gonna give some more trial air packs, and he came up with a group of things that to be evaluated to see, cost is a big one, functionality, whether you're comparing apples to apples, whether the people that use them like them. So,
One of the things was to make sure that they're compatible with neighboring towns, so that they're,
Well, yeah,
A little
like
bit.
Ferrisburgh has one, Brand Scott, and Shelburne has MSA, so you're like, well, can- and then whether you have quick connect bottles where you just snap on, or you have ones you can screw on, and then there's adapters, and there's like 20 variables floating around out there, but
And are you gonna buy them all at once?
yes, I think that's the plan. And one of the big concerns is having two different kinds of bottles. And things when you go to, they all operate differently. So when you train with one, you don't want to all of a sudden have the other kind on when you're, you know.
in the field.
The first thing I did was training was that house that burnt in Carpenter Road, and I'm sitting on the floor of the room that's on fire, and the training was for using a thermal imaging device. And you're looking around, the floor is like 200 degrees down at floor level, 700 degrees on the ceiling, and all of a sudden my air pack failed.
Oh,
And it's like, man, okay, I pull the mask off because I can't breathe, I'm gonna sear my lungs like that, so what do I do? And so like, that experience convinced me that like anybody that doesn't think you should have the
best.
right equipment, I mean, that's what Chief says, like, if they don't wanna pay for them, we're just gonna be an exterior fire department, we'll show up and squirt water on the outside of the house, but that was a creepy feeling, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet it was.
Fortunately, they had safety officers, and I waved my arms, and they drug me out of there in a heartbeat, so.
And then maybe they put you in a smoking building and they tell you to take your OBA off. And you suck in that stuff for 10 seconds and you want to get out of there real fast.
Well, another thing they had that somebody presented about a month ago was, I wouldn't say alarming statistics, but the curve of the amount of cancer and stuff that's firemen are suffering from because of the amount of junk that's in buildings now, the plastics and all the other things. It's like, and even in cars. So, anyway.
Interesting.
And how long, will these all expire at the same time, or how's that work? I heard that comment.
They probably will. And the same argument applies if you're gonna go new. One of the two things that are really good about not just one brand, but the current generation of these things is they have, instead of a 2-year guarantee, they're anywhere between 10 and 15 years,
Wow.
which is
Big
a
upgrade.
big deal. And the other thing they have is what they call telemetry, and they now have something in them where you can, if somebody's in trouble, you're looking for a firefighter, you can go from the outside of the building with something and find where that person is inside of the building, so you don't have to go on a blind search to see where that person is.
From their air pack.
From the air pack has the thing that sends out the signal.
Wow.
Telemetry, they call it. So,
Nice.
Do they have any scuba gear for water rescue, or that's all on top? All the
That's all on
rescue's
top.
surface, yeah.
if anybody's underwater that long, it becomes a state
Rescue.
police
Or
issue.
recovery.
Recovery. But I think those work pretty close. They have to work pretty close to underwater because you get covered with foam and stuff sometimes, and they still work.
Well, they seal, right? They seal around your face.
Yeah, probably just doesn't handle deep pressure, but
Probably not.
usually you'd only need it if the boat's half capsized and there's water in the cabin and someone wants to go in.
No, I wouldn't think that. All the water rescue training is surface training.
Surface training, yeah.
You know, like lifeguard stuff, swimming in the pool, how to approach them so you don't get drowned yourself.
Right.
Okay, anything else? Motion to adjourn? See you all Monday night. What time are we meeting Monday?